Clytus, I'm bored. What plaything can you offer me today?
An obscure body in the SK system. The inhabitants refer to it as the planet Earth.
How peaceful it looks. It must be annihilated. Send Rick and Danny on War Rocket Ajax. In 2013, Ming the Merciless, ruler of the known universe, declares the Earth to immediate termination. To accomplish this awesome decree, Rick and Danny are dispatched to the planet on War Rocket Ajax. The two encountered something they never thought they'd find, though. Movies. Stalled in their given task, Rick and Danny comb the movies of the Earth, sending reports of their greatness back to Mungo in what is now called the Hail Ming Power Hour.
Well, ho, 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 everybody. Welcome to a very special It's a Hell Mean Christmas.
It's a hell mean Christmas.
It's a very hell mean Christmas. How about that?
Very hell mean Christmas.
So we just wanted to take some time. This is probably not going to be a full-length episode, but we just wanted to take some time and talk about one of our favorite Christmas shows that we both enjoy pretty much any time of the year. But in case you don't know, I'm Rick. That's Danny over there. So, hey, Danny.
I'm just getting used to the mirror image thing. So, I get it. Yeah. And we're happy to bring to you one of our favorite Christmas stories, one of our Crave-It Christmas, our favorite Christmas specials, which when we mentioned to Barry Lowe, he immediately knew that otters were not for him.
Yeah, we're talking about the 1977 Emmet Otter's Jugband Christmas.
Emmet Otter's Jugband Christmas. I mean, what's not to say about this gem of a movie?
Yeah, I mean, it's Jim Henson, right? This is coming off the cusp of, Danny and I are fortunate enough, and a lot of you that listen at our age, we obviously grew up with Sesame Street. I came in right at the beginning of Sesame Street, which led to, around this time period, the announcement to the world of the fantastic The Muppet Show.
The Muppet Show.
I mean, what can you say about The Muppet Show, right?
Oh, man, it's everything. It's everything. It's a variety show. It had special guests. It had musical numbers. It had the Muppets. It was right. It was everything to all people.
And this is a telling of a different story from Jim Henson's company at that time that was on HBO nonstop back in the day. And I absolutely love it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're a huge Paul Williams fan, and he wrote all the music in it.
Yeah.
And it's the Muppets. So, what's not to like about the Muppets? And it's a full-length feature. They had, Emmet Otter's Jugband Christmas is a holiday special that I could go to anytime.
It's an American treasure.
As an adult, I've tried to force everybody I know to watch it. Sometimes people, have an immediate reaction against it. But if I can convince somebody to sit down and watch it, they're going to be a fan.
The name is not appealing, right? Because you're like, what? I mean, I have no idea. You don't say it's a Muppets Christmas, and everybody goes, oh, yeah, sure. But when you say Emmet Otter, well, they don't know who that is. Jugband Christmas. What? But this is a very, very special show for me, particularly. And, I mean, my family, I've raised Sierra to grow up watching it. We made Jade. Jade is currently watching it every day, so it gets burned in her mind. They actually showed this in the theater was it 2 or 3 years ago in Nashville, and we actually drove to Nashville to watch this on the big screen.
And why wouldn't you? It's such a fixture in time. And one of the things you mentioned, why wouldn't you call it a Muppet Christmas? Well, other than Kermit coming in to give it a little intro,
right?
It is not a Muppet Christmas. No, I mean, they are Muppets because they are from Jim Henson's puppet shop, his creature shop, but they're not the Muppets. And for that reason, Disney Plus doesn't carry it because they own the Muppets now. And I watched it on Amazon Prime because what I noticed this morning is legally it's not a Muppet property.
Well, even when they finally released it on DVD, it did not have Kermit in there. They took all the Kermit parts out because they didn't have the rights to show that. Now, ironically, on Amazon Prime, when you watch it, it has the Kermit opening on it. So
yeah,
that's pretty cool, man. And that's what I remembered too growing up when I first watched this is Kermit riding his bicycle, right? and kind of crashing into the road sign there. And he's kind of your narrator of setting up the story of what you're about to see. And you get to see the Nightmare Band pull up and steal his scarf.
And the whole bicycle thing, I was watching it this morning and I was watching the ice skaters, skating on the ice. And it made me think of The Great Muppet Caper, which is my favorite Muppet movie. Yeah. And that whole bicycle scene. Mm-hmm. I'm sure somebody will get on and tell me how they did that. But watching it, I have no idea how they do that effect. It looks so good. And it's just, they're on bikes. Their legs are pumping and their mouths are moving because they're still puppets. But how does it work? Yeah. I mean, there's no magnets. They're on regular streets. It's not like Emmet Otter where they have a magnet under the table and it's a big table set that they built. I don't know how they did it.
Well, there's things in this movie, too, that when you're watching it, I'm sitting there going, wait a minute. How are they pulling this off? Because the boat is out in the water.
Yeah.
The mouths are moving. How do you build this to where a boat is going downstream and you're able to operate this and it be out in the water? There's still things in this one that blows my mind. This is, like I said, 1977. You didn't have much like animatronics and stuff. I mean, you had some, and I think some of it is animatronics. But for the most part, I still don't know how they pulled some of this stuff off.
Well, they used the, it seems like we're getting into the movie. So before we jump right in, because we're apparently super excited about it, which I know I am. Is there any other boxes to be checked?
Not that I know of.
We don't have sponsors anymore. They gave up on us, and nobody can give a proper synopsis of this. It may be Frank Oz, and he was busy. So we're just gonna jump right into it, and I'll just go ahead and ask you then.
Yeah.
Rick, what is your top reason to watch Emmet Otter's Jugband Christmas?
Wendell. I love Wendell, man.
Wendell is great. He says what everybody's thinking. I wish we'd have won.
Do they have mashed potatoes? I mean,
he's a porcupine. He's got the quills coming out of his coat.
He's out there fishing and he pulls the boat up. Hey, Emmett, look what I got.
I agree. He's awesome. And similarly, so I like all of them.
Yeah, I mean, you get a huge cast here, right? I mean, because you got Emmet Otter, it's based off, and you got his mom. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that relationship later on. But you get all of his buddies, Wally and Wendell, I mean, the whole bunch that make up the Jugband. Then you get our bad guys, which is the River Bottom Nightmare Band, which are just as likable. I mean, they are such a reason to watch this.
They're rock stars, man.
The movie just kind of comes out of left field, but it seems like 1930s, 1940s time set. But maybe the Nightmare Band was just ahead of their time because they put on a heck of a show.
They do put on. Well, I mean, it's an award-winning show.
That's right.
They go on back to River Bottom with with $50 in their pocket.
All right, I'm rambling, but go ahead, man. I figured this would be real loose, so.
No, yeah, absolutely it is. I mean, well, everything's worth watching, so it's a little hard to pin it all down. Yeah, similarly, I was gonna have to say that Stanley the Weasel.
Oh yeah, yeah.
His voice
and Shocking Chuck
and his neck. His neck is always going like this. You know, he's like.
He's no doubt a sock puppet, right? They just push the sock into the mouth, and he's but he's got
no eyes.
No,
he's got like a little hat over his eyes. I love Stanley Weasel.
He's wearing like bell bottoms, bass player.
He's like their lead singer, although he and Chuck kind of go back and forth. Chuck just gets the iconic line, where he says their name.
I don't like that bad.
And then you got a fish in the back, doesn't play anything, is underwater, not singing. He just spits water at people.
Oh, yeah. And even in their car, when they're driving around town, the back seat is closed off and it's just full of water so he can float around in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, was he Popeye Catfish?
You got a snake playing guitar. I mean...
Yeah, I like how his neck, how his body goes around the fret, and then his tails pluck in the chords. Yeah. I mean, only Jim Henson and his shop could come up with all this stuff, and that's what makes it so great. It's not just the Tale of the Magi, it's not just a great Christmas story, or even a story about really likable characters overcoming odds. It's also super creative, and all the characters in it are fun to watch.
Yep.
They're all interesting, and the way that they're presented is just awesome.
And the other thing too is, again, this is a Christmas special, but I mean, realistically, it doesn't end like you think it should end. And that's the other thing that always threw me about this is you expect, it's Christmas time, happy ending, which I mean it does end up kind of happy. But they get robbed, man. They get robbed.
I might get tarred and feathered for this one, but I'm not sure how the Gift of the Magi really ends. I think it's also like that where the characters sacrifice something of each other's without telling them, and then they end up having to deal with the fact that it didn't pan out the way they thought it would.
Yeah,
and they're likable characters, but they're flawed. I love the fact that Emmett's dad was a snake oil salesman.
Yeah.
In this setting, it just sounds like it might just be. I think he says something like, "Well, nobody wants to oil their snake nowadays." It's like it's oil for a snake, not oil from a snake. Well, how does this even? But it's snake oil, and he was just a grifter.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing about this too is, and this is the reason I wanted to talk about it too is how it's so relatable to me, and I didn't even know it growing up. But watching it again the other night, it just made me realize that they don't know. Well, they do know that they're poor, but it doesn't mean anything, right? It's just the way they live. They don't think they're any more poor than anybody that they're associated with, so they're comfortable with it. So they don't know that being poor is a bad thing or a hard thing. And, unfortunately, the dad wasn't very successful at anything. I mean, and he passed on, so it's just Emmet and his mom. And, that kind of hits home for me because when this came out, well, in 1979, my folks split, and it was me and my mom. And for a few years there, it was pretty rough, and we moved around a lot, lived in some rough situations. But as a kid, growing up, I didn't know that we were living in hard times. I mean, I didn't realize that things were difficult for my mom. Looking back now, I see it. But that's really what makes this relatable because I kind of missed that time of not knowing the divisions between, being popular or being wealthy and not being wealthy. You had each other and you had your family, and that's all that mattered. Right. And you were comfortable with that.
Well, they were wealthy in love, right? I mean, they didn't need a lot of things to distract them from life because life was good.
Yeah.
Things might have been, they had to stretch food and they had to stretch their clothes and patch their. Yeah, it's true though that when you're in a good family, it doesn't necessarily matter if you're not wealthy.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that's the thing about it to me is it's really relatable. I mean, they hinge everything in the story off of the way that Emmett's mom can make a living is by washing clothes, hemming dresses, things like this. And there's the whole reference of there's no hole in the wash tub. So as long as they've got the wash tub and they can wash clothes, then they've got a chance to do for themselves. And everything hinges on Emmet joining this Jugband to win $50, which $50 is a lot, in this case. But in order to do so, he has to take the wash tub and put a hole in it. So,
isn't it that he wants? She wants the money to get him that guitar,
right?
And he wants the money to get her a piano.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, so they're trying to win this money for each other the whole time, never communicating that they're gonna.
Yeah.
She's gonna sell his tool chest to get a nice dress, and he's gonna put that hole in the wash tub. The whole song about not doing that.
That's right. Yeah, ain't no hole in the wash tub. So, and I will say, this show is very songy. So normally that would make me go, but for some reason it just works in this one, man.
Because they're Paul Williams songs.
They're Paul Williams songs. That's all that matters. And man, they put together this hot jug band. You get one of them builds a cigar box banjo or guitar.
Right. Right, there's
Windows,
the washboard,
the washboard, and the kazoo.
That's right. He's the double duty in that. He's got the kazoo and the washboard.
And then you got Wendell blowing the jug. And then you got Emmet, who has to put a hole in the wash tub and play wash tub bass.
Which, I was thinking about a wash tub bass. And what is it, like a broomstick?
Mm-hmm.
And then like the nail holds the string on the other side of the wash tub.
Yep. So the way that supposedly works is the vibrations goes through the wash tub, and that gives you the sound. But it's literally just tightening and loosening the broomstick that tightens the string and loosens the string to make the sound. I've seen Fred Sanford use one before.
They were poor, but they were wealthy in ways to make household items and musical instruments.
Absolutely.
I mean, what can't these river dwelling varmints do? That's my question.
Well, that's how you live, right? You live by your means. You figure out how to live off the land and all those things, right? And then the opposite side is the river bottom band who comes by on snow skis and not snow skis, but snow jets,
snowmobiles,
snowmobiles.
I love them so much. They're a little, they got sparks flying out the back. Look at the birds up in the trees.
Yeah, man, fantastic.
Chuck, and then you got the voice of Ernie over here going, "We're not birds. We're a jug band."
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, all right, Chuck, they're a band. Shut up.
Stanley Weasel. Yeah, right, boys. He's so good.
Man. Go ahead.
Like you said, the plot moves on. They want to get something nice for each other. They want to prove how much they love each other with something material. Because like you said, they're living in hard times, and they're trying to prove that that's not going to define them and their love. They're going to find something really nice. They feel the other person deserves it. And there's the other thing. There's the other spirit of Christmas. It's giving, right? Neither one of them wants something for themselves, but they have to sacrifice something that belongs to the other because they want to get them something that they feel like they deserve. So there's a lot, for a kid story. I mean, it's a lot of stuff. They both do something bad because they think it's something good. Right. And they both are betting everything they have on their own ability to win this. Yeah. So, and they're wrong. In the end, they're wrong because River Bottom is just so entertaining that you can't run that away from them.
Well, I mean, then you got to build up to that anyways, right? So the band is practicing their rear end off. I mean, even to the point to where Wally's like, "Oh, great, we're going to do it again. Are you ready? Are you ready? We're going to do it again." Yeah, I guess. So they practice and they nail this song called Barbecue, which I'm sorry, I sing it all the time. I mean, but then they go to the actual barbecue.
Thank you.
That guy. So that's the thing. I do too. So they actually have the night of the talent show, and it's your typical talent show that you expect, where you got a mama squirrel's got all of her baby squirrels up there doing some sort of acrobatic act, and they're terrible.
I love that so much. So you got the two like rabbits that come out that are doing the dance number. I was fortunate in that my daughter wandered through the room while I was watching that part, and it's just genuinely enjoyable to watch these silly little puppet acts that they do. But like, I love the fact that the squirrels are just like, they're all over the place. One of them's walking on his hands. The other's all just like, because it's like no theater. They're like, they're puppeteers in the back making a move. They're all wearing black. And they're just like little squirrel tails flipping around. And then after the thing, they pan through the audience and there's just one squirrel. But, it's so funny. It's such a great joke.
Because it's so real, right? I mean, because if your kid's up there doing something, you're the one going, yeah!
It might be their kid, it might be your kids, but I always just thought it was because it was squirrel solidarity.
I always figured it was just a mom. That's her kids.
Makes sense.
How about the 2-man horse? So they got their costume together. You got the person in the first half, the horse, and the person in the back half, and they got them sewn together in this outfit. But then they decide that, men have to go to this dressing room and women have to go to this room, so they have to tear the outfit apart and go to their dressing rooms, and they get rushed on stage when it's time, and they never get their suit back together.
They're just spinning around. It's like a horse ass and a horse face just spinning around opposite side looking for each other, and then they go off the screen.
I remember the one falls down though, and he can't get back up, so he just scoots off with his feet.
I mean, the whole Emmet Otter's Jugband Christmas movie. It's just unbridled joy.
Yeah.
It's just so good.
Yeah.
There's a story there, and there's some heartfelt songs. There's the whole the river freezes over and they go slide down the river, the frozen slide to the river. And it's just them putting a stuffed animal on a slide and sliding down this little thing and then sliding the puppet across the ice. It's so much fun to watch because
the walking, the puppeteering of their legs I can't tell you how many times we say, hey, they walk like Emmet Otter.
So I don't know that it would be made today because there's so much ability to polish things.
Right, sure, yeah.
That like all this stuff would just be seen as, what is this, something that goes on YouTube because your family put it together for, a digital Christmas card or something.
Right.
But there was so much work put into this because it's all real.
Yeah.
And nobody was able to polish it on film. Yeah. They had to film it all there. Which of course the bloopers for this is hilarious.
Yeah, they are fantastic. So if you get the DVD copy or whatever, there's where you can get those as well. Could you get those on Amazon? You watch those on there too? Or
it just shows the feature, but I do own the DVD.
Yeah.
It was just easier to pull it up, so I watched it on Amazon this morning. But there's a blooper reel for it. And that's the sad thing that's kind of lost from DVD culture going away is you used to get, in order to entice you to buy it, you get bloopers, you get deleted scenes, you get featurettes and stuff. And now there's really no reason to add all that on your digital purchase.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's so much about this that is so great. And it's so simple. And that's the other part of it too. I mean, this is not going to absolutely blow you away when you watch it. It's simple and delightful, got a great message, and it's a lot of fun, like you were saying. It is fun. But yeah, man, the Jugband get ready to get on stage. Actually, a guy goes up before him, and it's I can't remember the guy's name.
I don't remember either.
He plays the same song on a banjo, and he totally does a kind of butchered version of the same song, Barbecue, and they're like, well, we can't do that. They think we're just copying him.
Because he's like got like a stuffed up nose type of singing voice. I always make the barbecue. And I'm sure it was somebody who already had a voice in there and they wanted to make it different somehow. But it's hilarious, and he's up there. Oh, thank you. He's wearing a little suit with a little bow tie, like he got all gussied up for it.
If it gets under your nails, barbecue. Thank you. It doesn't mean that you don't like soul food if you don't like rock and roll.
and then they're in the back there. Oh, if we go on and play now, they're going to think we're copying.
So they go outside and write a whole new song in the matter of a few minutes and come in and do.
So you think they wrote it? I think it's somebody just knew it.
Maybe. Maybe so.
Okay.
It's a song called Brothers. So it's basically talking about them, Jugband love.
There may be others.
Great song. And then you've got, but before that, Emmett's mom comes out and sings, which...
Name Alice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great voice. I mean, great song. It's pretty. It's, it's very delightful. So you're thinking, okay, it's going to come down between those two, and one of them's going to win, right? And you're even pumped up for this. This is where, because the curtains close after they do Brothers, and everybody's like, oh, that was the best for sure. And even the mama's back there, yeah, it was fantastic. Then all of a sudden, the mayor of the town comes out, the bullfrog. He's like,
it's the fox.
Oh, is it the fox? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, the bullfrog he's one of the judges.
Yeah, and he owns the restaurant down
Tavern,
there.
Yeah. And, but yeah, the fox said, normally that would be our last act, but these guys come a long way. And when he's introducing them in the back, they're shoving everybody like, hey, get out of the way. We got to set up our stuff. And they go full-fledged 70s rock show, man, with explosions and colored lights.
They're all wearing like head to toe, like polyester suits with stars. And I think Chuck's got a cape.
Yeah, he's just like Elton
Elvis
John.
Cape.
Yeah, he's like Elton John from the 70s with the big glasses and the big boots.
And he's playing the keyboard, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man, it's awesome. And they rock the house, man.
I love some of the lines. I noticed, I always remember that. The grass does not grow on the places where we stop and stand.
River Bottom Nightmare Band.
But there was one that I caught this time where he says, we don't wish to learn, but we hate the things we don't understand. It's like they're just these nihilists, like rock and roll badasses who roll into the Frog Hollow.
Yeah.
And what's not to love? And everybody just goes crazy in the audience.
Yeah.
There isn't like they're outsiders. Everybody's just like, that was a great show. And they deserve to win.
Yeah, they rock the house, and the riff's like, it's almost like Foxy Lady by Jimi Hendrix,
Deep Purple or something, yeah.
Yeah. So they're just, they're tearing it up, man. And I love when the snake is playing the guitar and he sings along with what he's playing.
Yeah.
So needless to say, they get through rocking the house and they win the $50. Sorry, Emmett and Bunch and Alice. You were good, but just not good enough.
And it's only the porcupine on the way home who's like, we should have won. Because like I said, he's the one that's saying what the audience is like. Wait, you mean they...
Yeah, they're all just walking home afterwards, and then Wally, I think it's Wally, but he's got his kazoo out and he's just do. He's doing the song they did in the show, and then Alice comes to this great idea that they could combine both the songs that they did together, and that's where the magic happens, right? So they're all standing outside. They're not paying attention to anybody. They're just realizing that both of these songs go together, and they're singing and harmonizing together. And then as soon as they're done, there's a crowd outside. They're all clapping and cheering, and that's when the bullfrog says, well, turns out that all you really need was each other.
That's right.
And
because
then he offers
judges talked, and they needed just a little something.
And then they offer him a job. Yeah, so they start playing at the tavern every night and making money together as a band. And they got mashed potatoes.
Hey, his food's on the house. You know, it's not a bad gig.
Yeah.
You have Bullfrog over there, like walking down he's walking down the pier like we're talking about with the marionettes. You know, he's got a bounce in his step. I was impressed with the fact that what happened. Where were their strings? You know, like.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really see them. There's a few shots where you can. But yeah, it was the same way when I was watching the one back there that was ice skating, like you're talking about. I'm like, you know, you have to really, really try to see those strings. You know, it's almost like is something holding it from underneath, possibly.
Yeah, and I think that the ice skater is that they've got like a magnet underneath that they're because he's just kind of like a
stationary
statue.
Yeah,
you know that's skating around on one skate.
Yeah,
but like in the same frame, they're walking down the ice.
Yeah,
and you know you can tell they're marionettes.
Yeah,
but I never saw the strings.
You don't see
and
them.
Now you just assume they screened them out somehow,
yeah.
But I don't think they had that.
Yeah, no, that you had to build backgrounds and stuff to where, you know, invisible wires, they called them back in the day.
Right.
So, and there's certain shots where you can see them a little bit, like when they're walking past the store, when the music store, when the band's in there, you can kind of see that. That's an awesome scene too. The River Bottom Nightmare band goes in that music store. Oh, they didn't want these things to roll, they made them square.
They're in there displaying all the the ferret that runs the store is just running around like the sky is falling because they're just in there like playing whatever they want,
as loud as they want.
Yeah, and Emmett and Als are walking by outside. They look in. Well, those are hooligans. That's what they are. Just hooligans.
So yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. It's just a standard. I mean, if I have to pick one thing that I'm going to watch in this season, it's going to be Emmet Otter, man. I got to watch it.
In my living room in the holiday season, there are two things that are always there: the television playing Emmet Otter and the Christmas branch. Yeah,
Becky and I talked about that too. Just go out and get a Christmas branch because Emmett's dad just couldn't bear cutting down a whole tree, and because I did that tree will live for another 100 years.
It's good stuff, man. I mean, it's good stuff. I guess you call it salt of the earth people in this, you know, like they're salt of the earth animals because they're not people. They're wearing clothes, they got houses, but they're still animals. Dude,
that scene when Emmet gets up that next day and his mom's left him the note and he's walking through the house and he's got the little blue shirt on and he's got his suspenders on. I swear, man, that looks just like my grandfather, man. I mean, that's exactly what he wore. His hair was the same way because it was real short, buzzed, but he had a head full of hair. And every time I see that, I'm like, wow. I mean, that looks like Pawpaw, you know?
And I like the fact that, you know, he puts down his note to say, you know, I'll explain about the wash tub later. And it's sitting right next to the note that she left for him to explain about the tool shed. But they're both so in the moment of what they're doing, they don't even see that the other person's left them a note. I mean, I guess he put it down and hers was there, so she didn't get a chance to see his, but you get the feeling that she wouldn't have seen it either because they're both locked into this course. They've convinced themselves that they've got to do this because it's for the greater good.
And he goes outside with a piece of firewood to drive the nail into the wash tub because she's already hawked off the tool chest, you know?
Yeah.
So all these little things, man. I'm mesmerized by her rolling out the dough. When you watch Alice is rolling out the dough and I'm going, how do you put that together and make it work, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's a little spastic looking, but again, you know, it looks like she's doing it.
Yeah. So it's a lot of stuff, man. Anyways, if you're a fan of this, please let us know because it's by far my favorite Christmas program. I don't know if it's Danny's favorite, but I know that it's one of his favorites for sure.
I'm hard pressed to come up with one that I like more. I mean, I grew up maybe more with Emmet Otter. I grew up with A Christmas Story.
Sure.
And like I love Christmas Story for the sarcastic view of Christmas that it has, because that's my family. We're a sarcastic bunch, and we don't. We're kind of a little irreverent, and so A Christmas Story was always something that we enjoyed together because it was a poke at the commercialism and the fact of what the holidays become. But when it comes to just, good feelings and good memories, Emmet Otter is always a go-to. It's a fantastic movie. And like I said, a couple of years back, I was trying like crazy to get my kids to watch it with me. And it wasn't until they got a little older that I convinced them, because it was just too, I guess, kiddie at the time.
Well, it's either that. It's really hard. It's a hard sell, because I think younger kids don't get it because it doesn't look like the stuff that they're into watching now.
True.
And until they get, and it's story heavy, right? I mean, even all the songs are tying into what's going on in the story. So you kind of have to have somebody that can stay with it and put it all together to come out the other side of it.
And, I was surprised about how fast moving it was, though. Like when I rewatched it today, it's kind of like, oh, we're already here.
Yeah.
Because the story is just kind of a 1, 2, 3. Yep. You introduce the characters, you introduce the challenge, you get the idea of how they can overcome the challenge, then you get to the talent show. That's it. Yeah, and
it's got some great segues too, man. I love when the band is practicing and they're doing the washboard and then it fades into the sewing machine that goes back to Alice. You can hear the song playing, and instead of it being the washboard, you're hearing the sewing machine, and it goes into that part of the story. I'm like, man, that's brilliant. I mean, it's really neat. Yeah.
And there's one more musical number that we haven't touched on, and that's the final one. Sure. Which, I mean, I looked it up this viewing because I know it from Emmet Otter, but I assumed it was, the hymnal. It sounds like something out of Oh Brother, where it's right. But it's a Paul Williams song. He wrote it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I guess it's best known for John Denver doing it 2 years later
with the Muppets.
When the river meets the sea.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic song.
Yeah. I
mean, it belongs in any book of hymnals, in any church anywhere. It's stupendous. And, to point this out, whatever your affiliation, I'm not casting aspersions, but there's not a lick of religion in it either. It's just it's a story about, when the river meets the sea sounds like, the journey of life to death to me, or passing. Yep. But it's just, it's Paul Williams. He writes fantastic songs. They're all catchy, but they're also deep. Yep. And it's a good number. They do one more number together after they've played at the Frog Restaurant all night, and on the way home they sing at home. When the river meets the sea. Yeah. Yeah. And it's a tearjerker, man.
It's good stuff, man. Yeah, it's just again, I can't recommend it enough. I mean, to me, it's my go-to. Always will be. It pulls my heartstrings, and it really takes me back. This is just a staple, and I'm so glad that it's part of our family. And we even did a video. I just saw this the other day. In 2011, I had a nephew that was in the military, and we sent him a gift where we took a green screen, matter of fact, the one I've got behind me, and set it up, and we did scenes from our favorite movies and just did a Christmas, special for him, interjecting ourselves into our favorite movies. And that's all of our family. That's, me and my wife, my daughter, all of his mom and dad, and then the grandparents. We all got in this thing, and sure enough, man, Becky and I are in Emmet Otter's Jugband Christmas, man. And Sierra and I are playing River Bottom Nightmare Band. We're up there with them playing guitars. One. Becky's out there ice skating behind Wendell and Emmett. So, it's just a part of who we are. And I'm so grateful that I just grew up with it.
Well, and you, yes, you can't. You talk about it being, like it's an old timey story, but then you got River Bottom, right? Yeah, you've got these guys coming in, the 70s rockers. They're over the top, and there's a great sense of humor, and it's just the art of puppetry. I mean, just the puppeteering, the different kinds of things that the creators did to make it into a full-fledged story, no matter where the characters had to be. It's all worthy. And if you haven't watched Emmet Otter's Jugband Christmas, just open your mind, go check it out.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of fun.
Yep. It's on Amazon Prime. You can go check it out. You can buy it on DVD. It's a keepsake. That's all I got, man. I just wanted to take the time to talk about it because I don't think enough people know about it. And, you know, again, it was on HBO all the time when I was a kid. I mean, it seemed like every, you know, November going into December, it was on about every other day.
Yeah. It's just I guess the timber has changed for what TV stations do for, you know, audiences. Now everything's on demand. So if you don't know about it, you're not going to just see it somewhere.
Yep. But there you go.
But it comes up, you know, it comes up and shows you, at least it does for me, that Amazon Prime's got it. So it must still have some kind of heft behind it. Or maybe they just know what I like.
Yeah. And it's funny because I've seen some people recently that are friends of mine that have never seen it before and recently have checked it out and they're like, this is fantastic. I'm like, yeah. This is why we do a show to talk about it. So do yourself a favor. If you have any Christmas spirit at all, if you like the Muppets, you got to check this one out, man. You'll be wanting to try to buy a copy of it. They've actually got Christmas ornaments now that I want to get so bad. Of the whole, you got the Jugband, you've got, you know, the Nightmare Band. I want them. Anybody listening, you want to do me a favor? Buy me some Emmet Otter Jugband Christmas ornaments.
That sounds like a legit request, and I think somebody's probably going to jump in on that one.
Well, yeah, we'll see. I don't know. They're kind of pricey.
Yep. Make it part of your regular holiday routine. Just
absolutely.
Check it out.
All right, folks. That's all I got. You got anything else, man?
No. Thanks for listening, and I hope you check it out and enjoy it. Otherwise, just realize that that's the kind of stuff we like. So you might put that in your scales when you're balancing whether or not to listen to the next one.
All right, folks. Have yourselves a fantastic holiday season, and we will see you next year.
That's right. Enjoy.
Adios.